Okay, good morning everybody. My name is Paul Lowe and I'm from Drexel University in Philadelphia. And I serve as the lead for Team DRC-Hubo. And on behalf of all our partners, we'd just like to thank you all for giving us this opportunity to share the state of readiness of our team. I still vividly recall hearing about the DRC for the first time and thinking that this is just a gigantic task. Who would be crazy to do that? You would have to be a giant to compete. But I remember waking up the next morning and being very compelled to do this challenge. Not only was it a very noble task, but as a teacher, the idea of enabling my students to participate in something that was bigger and greater than any individual, and to do something that is truly transformative and disruptive, as Dr. Pratt said about the DARPA Grand and Urban Challenges, I got to think about how could we really be resourceful, tactical, and agile. And that the fact that we had 7 Hubos at Drexel made me think of how could we be able to approach this giant. And so I started to pick up the phone and call a lot of people, and I assembled a band of brothers. And the idea was if we could be diverse, independent, and motivated, and if I could give them a Hubo and tell them to work on just an individual task, we could perhaps divide and conquer. And so these are people that I have trusted relationships with. I know them through past collaborations, and they have individual expertise in these events. And collectively, we have 200 person years of humanoid experience. So here is just a short 2-minute video that kind of describes, how do I move this mouse? Okay. What's happened in the first 9 months. And just kind of break it up between the fall, winter, and spring. I quickly gave the robot simulations to my team. And they started applying motion planning and to see what worked and what didn't work. And then later on in the fall, we deployed the Hubo Pluses, and they got to see the disconnect between the software and the hardware. They put a valiant effort into things, but we discovered limitations of the Hubo Plus, something I already knew from the very beginning. But we saw that we would probably need longer and stronger legs. The torso really didn't have the full range of motions. And you know, the hands themselves just really would need to be redesigned. And so in December, we gave our wish list to KAIST, and within about a month, they came up with a CAD model and again deployed it to my band of brothers. And they got to see that it seemed to have the range of motion that we needed, that it could probably do some of the tasks, that the legs seemed to be long enough, and that the 7th degree of freedom actually allowed more mobility. So then we communicated this with KAIST. They took those plans and they quickly brass boarded some of the designs in the hands. They implemented some of our tactics. They also added compliant control. But more importantly was the idea of being able to upgrade our Hubo Pluses. And meanwhile, we created a command and control trailer for transporting to Miami. And we also built a full-scale mock-up of the DRC event as we envisioned it. Okay. The summer ran came along, and how does this move? We got the beta DRC Hubos, and I secured the Drexel dormitories, and we secured the armory. And this was the first time that all 10 partners and their students came together. And not only did they dine together and lodge together, but they took over classrooms and they poured out all their code to identify best practices. And it wasn't all fun and games, but they got to really see what worked. And it started to build a lot of morale, and they started to take courage. Here we see DRC-Hubo in the Polaris, again to see what degrees of freedom work. We implemented what can work over the cinder blocks. This is our mock-up that we had created. This is debris clearing. And this is ladder climbing. Valve turning. And our attempt to do the fire hose. So, you know, fall came and the summer ended and students went back to their schools, and I said we need to really start to do mock trials. So we would do 4 times a week at 10 runs with the idea that this is Miami. Okay? And we used the scoring that we saw in the task descriptor. And so we said, okay, pretend you're in Miami and teleoperate. So this is a crew that's trying to do the vehicle ingress. This is interesting. From Purdue in Indiana, they're teleoperating the robot in Philadelphia, trying to do ladder climbing. They're teleoperating from Worcester. The Georgia Tech has one of our DRC-Hubos, and they're doing 3 events here in Atlanta. And this is our fire hose. Now, we're talking to DARPA media, and they were saying, well, you know, we want to get people amped up for Miami, and they said, we need to do some personification. And, you know, well, we're Philadelphia, and I always thought of us as kind of the underdog, and Rocky is the iconic underdog, and Miami is our Cinderella story. And so I thought I'd just have a little fun with this, and I made this little short video. So I think a lot of you recognize these famous Boston Dynamics videos.
It's now joining.
So I hope you have some fun with that. But, you know, what we lack in terms of being a giant, we really have heart. And as a professor, seeing that in my students and the blood, sweat, and tears that they're pouring into this, I thought that we needed to tell their story.
So basically, we've been given 1 year to get 1 robot to do 8 tasks, none of which have been performed reliably by any robot ever.
We got involved with this challenge because it's critical trying to do disaster response and humanitarian assistance.
There are 8 other university members in our team across the United States and Korea.
And I said yes immediately because it's one of the projects that's probably going to choose to get started.
The potential for robots to replace humans in disaster situations is really amazing.
I grew up here in New York, and I think people who are from here have very special appreciation for the job that first responders do.
Most human lives are very valuable.
It means a lot, I guess, that we're actually doing something that can be applicable to the real world and something that can actually change the world for the better.
I've been amazed at seeing how people come with different ideas, different designs to solve the same problem.
But it's also been really impressive and inspiring just to see how crazy and amazing all the teams are that have been involved in this challenge.
So this is because that we are roots. Very excited and very fortunate to be involved in this competition.
So what we try to make up with size, we try to make up with our heart. And on behalf of Team DRC-Hubo, thank you very much.